Item 6C, adopt resolution authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement with Consolidated CM Incorporation to provide construction management and inspection services for the Cunningham water tank number 1 replacement project in an amount not to exceed $564,000.
Director Tan.
Great.
Please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. It's the second of the 3 items tonight here. This item is regards to the award of contract to Consolidated Construction CM to perform construction management and inspection for the Cunningham water tank. So the agenda is the same as the previous presentation. We'll go over the background, give you a status of the project, discuss how we selected the consultant, go over some of the scope of work, the schedule of the budget, and lastly the alternatives and recommendations. So the background is again similar to the previous presentation. We have 11 pressure zones, 120 miles of pipelines, connections to SFPC. There are 4, 8 storage tanks, 8 pump stations, 26 regulating stations, and 4 active groundwater wells. And this project was also identified in the 2012 Water Master Plan for improvements for the replacement of the facilities. The project location, it's quite unique. If you don't know where it's located, it's tucked behind existing homes along Cunningham Way, adjacent to Interstate 280. This tank can be accessed from only one location, which is indicated on the picture. It's from a driveway between the 2 houses that are shown there. So here's just some information regarding the tank. The tank was constructed around 1964. The tank has a total capacity of 2.5 million gallons. However, due to the age, condition, and the vulnerability of the tank during seismic events, the tank can only utilize approximately 2/3 of its capacity right now. So the existing tank material is steel, and the existing tank will be replaced with new pre-stressed concrete tank and designed to meet current seismic design standards, since we are very, very close to the San Andreas Fault here. As for the project status, the city has completed the design of this tank. Being that internal staff does not have any specialized technical experience for structural design, staff is currently proposing to contract with the firm to provide constructability review or peer review of the design documents prior to advertising for bid. The peer review will be beneficial for the city as it will avoid any delays caused by design errors during construction. It can also reduce the amount of change orders and costs incurred by the change orders by catching them early. The peer review will also provide the city the plan ahead of the construction phase in regards to constructability and access issues. Then the project will be advertised for bid and be brought to City Council for award of construction contract. And the same firm will continue to work to perform the construction management and inspection, since they're familiar with the design. To select a consultant, it's very similar to the previous project. We issued an RFP. This time we received 6 proposals and evaluated based on those criteria that you see on the slide. We want to make sure that the firm has the qualifications for the construction management and inspection of the water tanks as well. And we also want to make sure that the manpower allocation efforts are allocated effectively to efficiently complete the project. So based on the evaluation of the proposals and then checking the references, we are recommending award of design contract of the contract to Consolidated CM for this project. The scope of work is as follows. The firm will perform the constructability of the peer review for the design, and they will oversee the construction activities and perform construction management tasks during construction of the water tank. The firm will also perform daily inspections during construction. They will also be coordinating with the city and contractor to ensure the project is successfully completed. As for the schedule, the design review and bid phase will approximately be completed around spring of 2020, and the construction phase will begin around summer 2020. And there will be no impacts during water service during construction, as the water will be bypassed around the tank. As for the budget, currently the city has a total of approximately $9 million available, which is carried over in the fiscal year 1920 budget, and therefore no additional appropriation is being requested for this contract. There are alternatives that the City Council can choose. You can choose to direct staff to select another firm to perform the work, or City Council can choose the staff to request staff to issue new requests for proposals. So, however, staff is recommending award to the Consolidated CM for the project. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
We have no speaker cards. Nobody here wishing to speak. Obviously, with this item and the next item, these aren't cheap. Obviously, big price tag. But the concern is, too, a lot of this gets carried over, and I get that to a point. But at the same time, then costs rise. So when we're allocated and we go down this process, and it takes a while, is there a reason as to, because the delay obviously costs, right? Whether it's park, whether it's a tank, whatever it is. So in the next couple cases, is it that we only can embark upon so many tasks? Because these obviously have been around for a while, more than a while.
Correct. So, the master plan was completed in 2012, and there are a lot of recommended projects in there that are fairly expensive to improve, right? So being that, the city has been focusing on a lot of these sewer projects, and the reason for that is because we're under the cease and desist order, and with this, the baykeeper's consent decree, so we have to complete a lot of those sewer projects. So we've been focusing a lot on the sewer pump stations, sewer capacity related projects, which were, all of them are very close to being completed. Right now we're kind of changing gears to try to get all these water projects completed, especially the critical ones. These are critical facilities. Water tanks are critical in our water distribution system because they provide storage during emergency, and so we need to make sure that these water tanks are replaced and be able to store the capacity that is designed for.
Thank you. And yes, how soon we forget of the other prioritization. So you're just trying to prioritize in the needs. Okay, I'm sorry. Questions from council?
Yes.
Laura.
Jimmy, can you clarify the water service during construction? You said that you're going to bypass this tank. Is that what you're going to do? So during construction, this tank won't exist, and that neighborhood will be getting water from another source further up the hill that'll come down, or the Cedar pump station also provides water. So it's not like you're building another tank on that site and leaving that one there. You'll be demolishing the current tank, building a new tank on that same site.
That's exactly correct. So the scope of work is to demolish the existing tank and then rebuild it at the same location. And there's just no way to build another tank adjacent to it because the site is relatively very small and very congested in that little area that you saw on the slide. So we have looked into ways to bypass the tank to make sure that the service is continuing to our customers. There are ways to do that in the water system, being that we're able to shut valves off and then run certain pump stations and so forth, and serve from different tanks that we have in our system. So that's something that we've been discussing internally already that we know that we'll be able to do. We did something similar when Glenview tank was replaced. We removed the tank and replaced it in the same location, so we were able to bypass the tank during the construction phase as well.
And that project came out actually very nice. And I agree, tanks are very important, and I'm glad that we're looking at these and getting back on track with our reliability, because tanks are the most important thing, right? You need to have those in case of fires, et cetera. I guess there's a question that was probably asked by Councilmember O'Connell earlier about communication to the neighborhood. So at some point there'll be some sort of communication plan that'll go out so they can expect. Anytime you change the flow of water, you're going to stir up sediment, and so they should expect sort of we'll try to eliminate as much of that, but just to know that there's a potential for that, and what you can do to sort of avoid internally. So another expensive project, but an important project, so thank you.
And I think what I'm hearing from past, now, and probably the next project is that the importance that it is to outreach prior. Like you said, the design phase, it can start to be educated. And again, I know folks might have thought, well, I forgot about that. But at the same time, I think it's important that we embark upon it early, and that we remind them when it gets closer, and that they have the contact information, so that there's, when a question's wanted and they can get a quick answer, that helps alleviate frustration and concern on residents. Irene? Oh, I'm sorry. Michael?
I just wanted to say that kind of following up on the mayor's comments about, we're seeing a lot of really expensive projects come up, but at the same time, we've all been sort of groaning under the weight of these increased rates, and seeing these projects come forward where we can actually show the residents that, their dollars are actually being put into the services that they expect is really important. So it has been slow. Some of these projects have been delayed. We've been accumulating the funds, but seeing these projects actually get started, it's exciting, and so we'll actually see finally the fruits of that labor. So thank you.
I know I skipped, but Michael brought up some good points. Some of this was started way back when we had no plans at all. We did not have a master plan for replacement of anything. And so we embarked on a 5-year plan, a capital improvement plan. And then we embarked on updating it, and then we've done it recently, and we did the utility rate increases that nobody likes, including us. We have to pay them too. But as Michael said, and everyone said, it is exciting to finally see all these things happening. I've been advocating for replacing those tanks for, 15 years or something. So this is great news. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir. Marty.
Couple questions. So the design was done in 2013. This firm will review a peer review on that design to make sure it's still okay. My concern would be that in 2013, we thought it was going to be around $9 million to do the project. If the budget for the project is $9 million, to do the full project is $9 million, are we still comfortable with that amount of figure?
Yes.
Okay. And as for this contract, it mentions the inspection services. Does that include the testing of the compaction and the concrete testing, and they would hire a separate firm to do that testing? Just to avoid the conflict of interest that they're not doing their own testing and then certifying that the concrete's good or the compaction's good, that they would get an independent testing, and that's included in this project.
Yeah, so normally what we've done on our other projects, like pipeline projects, we have an independent testing company that does backfill inspection tests and so forth. But I can't give you the answer on this one because I haven't, I don't have the information right now, but I can get that over to you after I verify information in the proposal.
Okay.
Yeah.
It needs to get done. It's expensive. The longer you wait, the more it costs. That's what construction is all about, and especially here in the Bay Area. And I'm glad that we're going to move forward, and I support this project.
Okay, if there's no other comments, questions, there's a resolution requesting action.
Motion to approve the resolution?
Second?
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Medina?
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar?
Aye.
Vice Mayor O'Connell?
Aye.
Mayor Medina?
Aye.
Motion carries.